Hi Sewmates, you're welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how I cut and sew this pleated shoulder Ankara dress with drawstring sleeves. Here is a quick look. The inspiration is on the left and my version is on the right. So let me know what you think in the comments. Also, the dress features a Basque waistline and a full gathered skirt, and I'll be breaking it down step by step so you can follow along with ease. So if you love sewing unique and trending styles, don't forget to like, drop a comment and subscribe for more easy tutorials like this every week. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So for this project, I'll be making use of these two type of Ankara fabric. I made use of 3 yards for the patterned one, and the plain one you need less than half yard. So I folded my pattern into two because I'll be using this pattern to cut for both the front and the back together. On my pattern, I already marked my underbust, my half length, and my lower waist, which is the Basque waist length. Then on the shoulder line, I took my shoulder divided by 2 and I added 10 inches for the sleeve length. Then after that, I measured 3.5 inch for the neck wideness and the same 3.5 inch for the neck depth, which I'll be connecting with my curved ruler like so. So this is not the original neckline I'm working with, this is just a guide. Then on the other hand, I came down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant and I connected to my neck wideness. Then after that, I came down by 10 inches after the shoulder slant, and that is going to be for my sleeve opening. Then I ruled a straight line on that point. So the next thing I'm doing right now is to take my body measurement. On my underbust, I marked my underbust divided by 4. My half length, I took my round waist divided by 4. Then for the lower waist, you're going to take the roundness of wherever you measured as your lower waist and divide it by 4. Then I connected all the points together. So then on the underbust, I came in by about 4 inches. Then I will be connecting that point to my sleeve opening. So this is what it's going to look like after I connect it. Now, next thing I'm going to do is to get my basque waist. So from the lower waist, I came up by 2.5 inch. Then I use my curved ruler to connect to the lower waist length like you see me doing. So this is basically it. I will be making all the lines visible that I'll be cutting on so you can see them clearly. So having done that, this is what it looks like. The next thing I'm going to do now is to go up by 1 inch for my underbust. So according to the style, the way I see the style, it has a curved underbust. It's not straight. But if you want yours to be straight, then you can go ahead to cut it straight like so. So I came up by 1 inch and then I placed my curved ruler from the end of my measurement to that point and I connected like so. So having done that, this is what it looks like. So as you know, the gown is divided into 3 parts. So this is going to be part A and this is going to be part B. Then the last part will be the gathers on the bottom. So I'll go ahead to cut out my pattern. I will not be cutting and separating the underbust yet. Like I said, I'm using it to cut both the back and the neck depth for the back is quite different from the front. So that is why I want to cut out the pattern first and draft the neck styling separately for each part. So as I was cutting, you can see the way I pinned it so that the pattern doesn't move. So after cutting it like so, I will share the pattern into two so that I will have two patterns for both the front and the back. So I'll also draw this underbust style line on the other side of the pattern as well. So I'll keep one pattern and this other one will be my front. So I went ahead to just label it front A and front B so I don't make a mistake. Now to draw the neck styling for this front part, the neck wideness was 3.5 inch. So I just decided to place my straight ruler to connect to the underbust points. So I'll be cutting it out like this. So the reason why I made the neck depth to be deep to the underbust is because it's going to have an overlapping at the front. So after doing that, I labeled my pattern and I will go ahead to cut. So for this back part, I wanted to work with the exact style. And if you look at the style, the back neck depth is not very low. It's almost to like the bra length. So I measured it as 11 inches. So I placed my curve ruler from that underbust line on the side to that 11 inches. Then I connected to form a curve like so. Then also, because I want the zipper to stop on that neck depth, I came in by 0.5 inch. Then I connected to my neck wideness of 3.5 inches. So this is what it's going to look like. So after doing that, now you can go ahead to cut out your pattern. So guys, after cutting it like so, I just decided to shade that part so that it doesn't look pointy or look funny somehow. So I blended the line very well, and I'll be cutting out the excess. So the next thing we're going to do now is to remove zipper board from the back so it doesn't affect the fixing of the zipper. So I came up by 1 inch on my half length, and I'm going to cut straight on this half length line. So I'm not supposed to cut it all the way to the end, but I will be taping it so that the side will be equal. You're going to place your half length line on top of that 1 inch. So that's going to remove zipper bulge from your back. So when you fix your zipper after sewing, it's just going to lay flat. So this is what it looks like. Next thing I'm going to do now is to place all this pattern on my fabric and cut with my sewing allowance and my zipper allowance. So I folded my Ankara into two, and I placed the front part with the shoulder on top and the underbust. Next thing I'm going to do is to add 1 inch on the shoulder part, just like you see me doing. And that 1 inch is because of the drawstring. So that's the reason for adding 1 inch. Then the other side, I added half inch, which is the sleeve length, and also the underbust part. I also added 0.5 inch as well. So for the neck depth, I came out by an extra 2 inches for the overlap. Then on the neck wideness, I came out by just 0.5 inch. So I used my straight ruler to connect the points like so. So I'll be cutting on the marked lines. At this point, I've already cut out the rest of the pattern on the fabric, including sewing allowance. So for the second part of the front, I cut my fabric on fold. Then I added half inch seam allowance on the underbust, the side, and the basque waist. I also added lining to it. Then for the back part, which is the top part, I added 1 inch for the shoulder and half inch on the other sides. While the B part for the back, I added half inch on all the sides and 1 inch for my zipper allowance. And I also cut lining on it too. So before separating my pattern, note that I notched the top part so that I don't make a mistake and confuse it for the basque waist, because it also has a curved shape like the basque waist. So guys, next thing I'm going to do now is to cut facing for the front. So I folded my fabric into two, and I'm going ahead to cut the front shape. Then for the facing, I'm going to make it 2 inches wide. You can also choose to make use of a bias if you don't want to do facing. So after cutting the facing, the first thing I'm going to do now is to first of all fold my sleeve opening. I'll fold it to the wrong side into two neatly. Then I'm going to open up my front part like this and place my facing front side of the neckline. So I use my pin to secure the facing, and I will go ahead to stitch with half inch seam allowance, and I'll be stitching along with my hemming gum. Then after doing that, I will top stitch the neckline to the facing part and then hem my facing neatly. So this is for the back parts. I'm going to open it up like this and then place my facing front side of my main fabric. Then I will go ahead to use my pin to secure it, and I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch the neckline with half inch. I'll also be stitching with my hemming gum. After doing that, I will fold the sleeve opening inward with half inch seam allowance. So guys, I've gone ahead to fix the facing for the front, and what I did was to fold it into two and top stitch it to make it neat. So I also did the same thing for the back. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to fix the overlap for the front. So I placed my front neckline to overlap the other one, and then I measured from my shoulder after taking out the 1 inch for my shoulder allowance. I measured 8 inches, which is okay for my neck depth. Then I pinned my overlap like so. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to fix the underbust band to it. So you're going to open it up like so, and then notch the midpoint for the underbust, and I'll also notch the midpoint for the top part. Then after getting the midpoint for both parts, I'll place the underbust on that midpoint. Then I'm going to pleat the excess of the top part to be equal with the underbust. So guys, if you don't quite understand what I'm saying, just watch closely and see exactly what I am doing. So I just went ahead to pleat it and I pinned it. Then I will take it to my sewing machine and stitch on the pleated part. After that, I will place my lining on the wrong part to sew to turn over the rough edges. So to make it easier for me, I will just go ahead to pin the lining to the pleated part, then just take it to my sewing machine and stitch with my 0.5-inch seam allowance. So guys, after I finished sewing the band, this is what it looks like. Then I just went ahead to top stitch that overlap neckline where my neck depth stops so that it doesn't move. Next thing I'm going to do now is to work on the back parts. So for the back part, after fixing my facing and I top stitched it neatly, I also folded the hem of the sleeve. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to fix the band for the underbust. So after taking out my pattern, next thing I did was to measure in 0.5-inch after my zipper allowance. Then I notched that point. When cutting on the pattern, I told you that the zipper is going to stop on the underbust neck depth. It's not going to get to the top part. So that's the reason for going in by 0.5 inch. Now the next thing I did was to place the upper part front side facing each other with the down part. Then I pinned the sides to be equal, and I also pin my neckline to that notch point. Then after doing that, you're going to pleat the excess fabric to the underbust. And after pleating it like so, next thing I'm going to do now is to place my lining to turn the rough edges. So I'll go ahead to do the same thing for the other side. I went in by 0.5-inch after my zipper allowance. Then I placed the neck depth. I placed it front side facing front side. I placed the neck depth on the notch points, then placed the side parts to be equal. Then after doing that, I pleated the excess of the top part to the bottom. And after pleating it around it, I will place my lining to sew the rough edges and turn it neatly. So guys, after I finish with the bag, this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it looks. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the shoulders. So I place my front and my back shoulder like so, and I'm going to sew with my 1 inch sewing allowance I added before. You can choose to make it tighter by using 1.5 inch. Let me take you back to a time when. So guys, after stitching the shoulder, I iron the seams open. Then next I'm going to do now is to fold it to enable my drawstring to pass. So you're going to fold it wide enough for the rope to pass. So after folding it into two, I will go ahead to top stitch it neatly. Then for the drawstring, I have these 4 pieces of cutout fabric. The length is about 25 inches and the wideness is 2 inches. So what I'm going to do now is to fold the both edge together and then fold it again to form a tiny strip. Then after folding it neatly, I will be inserting it into my folded casing on the shoulder. So you can use a safety pin to insert your rope inside of the casing. And then after inserting it, I will go ahead to top stitch on the neck wideness so that I'll be able to draw my drawstring with ease. So guys, after inserting the drawstring, this is what it looks like. Now the next thing I'm going to do now is to shape the sides. and I will go ahead to pin it to be equal, and I will be sewing with my 0.5-inch seam allowance. So guys, on the end of the sleeve opening, I decided to mark that part to be 1 inch because I don't want my sleeve to be too open. Then the rest part I marked 0.5-inch. So I'm going to stitch on that marked line. Or you could also take your body measurements, measure your underbust, your waistline and the lower waist and go ahead to shape. So after shaping the sides of the top part, this is what I have it looking like. Then the next thing I'm going to do now is to fix the gathered skirt to it. So to get the length of your gathers, you're first of all going to measure the half length. So you can see that I'm taking my measurement from the side of the dress and not the middle part. So I measured my underbust, and then what I have as the full length is 20 and half. So I'm just going to make it 20 inches because I will use half inch for sewing allowance. So for the gathers part, I have the 3 yards of fabric that is on fold that I'm going to use for the full gathered skirts. And then for the length, you're going to throw away your half length. So I threw 20 inches as my half length, and I made the length to be 43 inches, which is plus my folding allowance. Then on the folded part on the front, I came down by 1 inch, and I'm just going to slant it to the side. This is going to give room for my basque waist. It's going to make the gathers to sit well. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark my zipper allowance of 1 inch, and then I folded my gathers fabric into two to be able to get the side part. Then I notch the side part. So what I'm going to do now is to run gather stitch on the top part of the gathers fabric, or you can just go ahead to pleat it around the half length. So whichever one that works best for you. If you want to pleat it, you can notch the midpoint of your basque waist and place on the midpoint of the gathers fabric, and pleat the gathers fabric around the waistline till you get to the zipper allowance. But if you don't want to do that one, you can just go ahead to run gather stitch on the top part of your gathers fabric, and then after drawing it to the exact measurements, you can join the half length and the skirt parts together. So guys, after I finished gathering the skirt, I joined it to the half length. The next thing I want to do now is to fix my zipper. So just go ahead to measure the length of your zipper on your gown, and then stitch the 1 inch all the way to the hem of the gown. Then go ahead to fix your zipper on the remaining open parts. And this is how the dress turned out. Would you be giving this a try? Let me know in the comments below. So if you enjoyed this tutorial and you found it helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss more tutorials like this. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.